Hey guys, welcome back. We wanted to run you through our new glove program. We revamped essentially everything in our glove program for 2019. Really excited to show all this stuff off. Basically from hot weather or base layer all the way to the cold weather stuff. Starting with the Talus. So everybody's probably familiar with the Talus glove, and really we've just made some adjustments here to kind of evolve this style. So we went to a longer wrist cuff to add a little more protection and insulation, you know, where the blood's pumping through into your hands. It's also a single layer, so it'll lay a little more flush, so it's easier to put clothes over the top of it, jackets or base layers. And then the only other modification on this is that we shortened the trigger finger. So the index finger now falls just below that crease. So you get a little added functionality out of that.
From a branding perspective, too, we got rid of the first slide on the back.
Right,
so
yeah.
People didn't love.
Yeah, so it added a lot of mass with that heat transferred logo right on the back of the hand. So we got rid of that and just added the flag label down on the cuff. So again, just kind of making it a little more breathable, a little more lightweight, and just kind of evolving the branding presentation. On, I guess, the evolution of that, going to the full finger version, is we created a full finger knitted merino Talus glove that has touchscreen sensitive fingertips. So now even if it's the full finger glove, you can still operate your touch phone or your GPS with these black conductive fingertips. And then it has the same cuff design, single layer with like the 3-inch length cuff to go up your wrist. So these operate, you know, extremely well on their own, but they're also really good, basically cold weather liner gloves to put under a number of these to really kind of add some layering functionality to the system. Should we just keep moving?
Yeah.
Did you try on the fingerless one?
No.
Were you trying that one just to show people how far it goes down in the trigger finger?
And then $25 on the full finger.
Yeah, so the fingerless is 20 and the full finger is 25.
Excuse me, your size large, Kenton.
Yeah, size large.
And you guys have those small, medium, large, extra large? Or
Yes. Yep.
pretty much in all your gloves?
Yes. And then obviously this in the knit merino, these are only in solids, so conifer, dry earth, and hunter orange. And then going up the range into our new durable hot weather hunting glove. This would really probably, the closest existing style we have is the Scree, but I think this one truly kind of changes that use case scenario, that temperature range entirely from what the Scree did. So this one is the same guide light fabric through the back of the hand. So you have that 37.5 nylon through the back of the hand. And apologies, I have small hands, so this doesn't really fit me. And then an Amara palm, so a synthetic suede palm with conductive fingertips in the index and thumb. And then all of these heavier weight gloves beyond the Talus have basically a hanger strap. So if you're not using them, you can clip those through a carabiner or whatever else, which is great for storage, but more so is intended for drawing. So when you hang those that way, you don't have stuff falling down into the glove. It's basically protected. You know, we basically pulled that from an alpine mountaineering type of use
So the
case.
goal behind this glove was, you know, to create a glove that, one, concealment, two, that you could still shoot a bow or a gun effectively with. So you'll notice it's short, you can wear it with a release, no problem. But it's kind of, you know, you find this scenario a lot. It's first thing in the morning, you're walking in, whether you've got a gun or a bow, and it's just too cold to hold your bow, too cold to hold your gun, and this creates that super thin layer, while at the same time, it's thin enough to where if you had to, like, you know, shoot, you wouldn't have to take your gloves off, and it plays well with the release, plays well with the trigger guard.
Would you use any of these gloves fishing?
Yeah,
Actually, that would be a great
all
one for like hotter weather. I mean, have you used any of these?
This cost me all the time.
Sorry, I'm panning over to Ross. I'm sure he doesn't want to be involved, but I'm just going to bring him into this.
Now the Taluses are great because merino, as we know, when it's soaking wet, still retains 80% of its insulation. So when you're picking fish out or doing whatever and it gets soaking wet, it doesn't matter. It still functions just as well.
You could reel with this for sure.
Yeah.
You know, manage a line, no problem. But I fish in these, like, if it's cold, almost exclusively. I think everybody else does too, just so you can work a reel so much better.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right.
And what was the price point on those ones?
This one is 50 and 60, so 50 in the solid colors and 60 in the patterns. On to the Shale. Obviously everybody knows our Shale hybrid glove really well. We wanted to just basically evolve the design, continue to make it better. So we've added the conductive fingertips through the index and the thumb. We still have all of the Kevlar thread stitching through the leather palm. And then on the outside of the glove, this is now our Furnace 350 brushed merino fabric. And then we've changed the cuff design. That was a comment we had received through all of our different social media platforms that it was too open, was allowing stuff to come in. So we tightened this up, changed the construction down here so it fits close to your wrist, keeps stuff from easily falling in there, and it also insulates a little bit better by gripping onto the wrist. And then the last addition there, like I said, is the hanger strap, so you can store these or dry these by hanging them up using that.
The goal behind this glove basically was to make a glove that's a full stop warmer than this, but by adding the merino to the back of it, allows it to be worn in a really quite large variation of temperature. Like it's like a super breathable work glove. Or, it provides you with a significant amount of warmth, but your hands aren't going to be just baking if you're putting out a hard effort, to get up top of a hill, and then you sit there and you can get on the glass. But, it's still, they're super dexterous. You can run, binos or spotter flawlessly with them, but also that they're really good at regulating the temperature of your hands, so you don't have to be taking them on and off and on and off. They really do a good job.
And honestly, like even, at this level, it might be a little tough to get the Talus gloves underneath this. Doable. This is where actually, for a lot of my hunts, I've had the fingerless and the Shale as kind of a layering system for my hands, where I can still fit this underneath as kind of some bonus insulation, and then have that as kind of my go-to everything glove. And this thing truly is like my daily driver. I use it for everything, literally. Like just chiseled 5 inches of ice out of my driveway yesterday with it. So
yeah,
those shells are my favorite glove. I wear them.
These
because
are probably our best seller.
They're warmer than you'd think they would be.
yeah,
They are warmer than they think to be, and with the merino, even if they're wet, they still keep your hands from freezing. And with the palms, they're pretty dang durable.
they're super durable. And I think to speak to that, because again, we've evolved this glove so much over the years. Originally, we only had the caps on the fingers. We've also added the thumb cap here, as well as the guard right here through basically the crotch between the thumb and the index finger, which is really great because that was, this is kind of the primary wear area right up in here. So now with all of that added in, this thing, got significantly more durable in addition to that Kevlar thread, to where this thing is extremely durable for, being a wool kind of hybrid glove.
Right.
And you can use your cell phone with this shell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the conductive, the touchscreen sensitive fingertips, we wanted to make sure that in basically the lightweight Talus full finger, the Guide Lite full finger, and the Catalyst glove all have, sorry, not the Catalyst glove, my bad. These three styles all have the conductive, touchscreen sensitive fingertips.
Because you got to be able to do those selfies on the mountain.
That's right.
Well, if you don't, then nobody will believe that you were there.
Then it didn't happen.
It didn't
obviously.
happen.
Yeah.
I think it's ingenious.
Yeah.
But it is great because then you can operate your GPS and all these other things that
Yeah,
you don't want to dump
Onyx
heat to
mat,
try and run
yeah.
those things.
Right.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Right.
So that gets us through the Talus, the Guide Lite. The Shale Touch is now $80. That one is actually going to be available in patterns now, which I think everybody will be pretty fired up on. So we'll have Fusion, Cypher, Dry Earth, Conifer,
No orange.
and Hunter Orange. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. So that gets us through those. Then moving up to basically leverage off of what we've discovered in the Catalyst softshell kit, we created the Catalyst softshell glove. This utilizes stretch poly outer fabric on the outside with a DWR treatment, and then it has the same 37.5 fleece on the inside. I will say, personally speaking, I've not been a fan of softshell gloves in the past because I think you lose a lot of dexterity and under traditional constructions, when the soft shell was laminated in that 3-layer format, not only did you lose a lot of dexterity, but it didn't really have the loft that you needed for a lot of warmth. I think this changes that entire paradigm. So now we have the 37.5 fleece is the lining of the glove, and then it's not actually laminated through the body of the glove, only through the fingertips. So then you maintain the dexterity, and you also get the added kind of volume and dead air space that you need for the insulation to actually keep your hands warm. I think a lot of soft shells get a little boardy and end up making your hands colder, and this one changed it for me, where I hadn't been a fan of soft shells in the past, and now, other than the Shale, like, this has kind of been my go-to glove throughout the whole like Idaho winters, which I was shocked by.
The goal with this glove was kind of to try to make it still as thin and, you know, dexterous as we could, yet still provide a significant amount of warmth. You know, after you get past this, you need, and which we'll show you, but you know, if it's too cold for this, you need to get a full insulated, like heavy duty. But the goal behind this was to make it as, you know, easy to manipulate stuff, whether it be a spotter, or binos, or, you know, whatever, and still be able to leave your gloves on.
Yeah, and so, you know, honestly, this is all pretty much laid out by temperature range. So this thing, you know, these are really the kind of the meat of the season, great mid-season capabilities where you can still maintain a high level of dexterity for shooting or using your GPS or whatever. And then once you get into those colder months or those colder scenarios, that's where we start to build like truly winter-capable gloves. So then on to the Alpine cold weather glove. Actually, we should do, I guess we'll do those together, don't you think?
Yeah.
So the Alpine cold weather glove, and we revamped the Grizzly trigger mitt. So both of these are really, you know, stormy, cold weather, just late season, really warm gloves. I think that for a lot of people, it's a bit of personal preference here, whether you appreciate the added dexterity of a glove or you need the added volume and warmth of a mitt. Both work exceptionally well in really cold weather, but obviously that's kind of the decision point based on your needs. This one will be warmer because it has the extra volume, but I've worn this through a lot of the coldest days we've had this winter in Idaho, you know, down into -10 or so, and honestly my hands were sweating to the point where I was like, I think I need a lighter glove. So I was really pleasantly surprised with that. But with the Alpine cold weather glove, we have a full zip across the back of the hand, and what that allows you with that gusset is just, it's easy to get your hand in and out. I usually tailor it to like where I feel I need that for a bit of an anchor, and then just leave the rest open. But also in a case where, I don't know, you're waterfowling or whatever and you want to drop your glove quick, you could just leave that thing open so it's easy to just slide in and out. It also has the suede leather for the nose wipe, full leather palm. This is a 2.5 layer waterproof breathable shell. What's really helpful about that is underneath that 37.5 shell is a full waterproof breathable insert. So you essentially have a waterproof insert glove inside this glove to help keep all of the insulating layers that are against your hand still dry. So that's hypercritical. We built in articulation in these cold weather gloves because once you get all of these types of layers to keep your hand warm, you need to build in a little bit more articulation to maintain that dexterity. We have the same gear hanging loop for drawing. And then what really takes this thing to the next level is the insulation inside is a wool shearling and a poly shearling. So with those shearling insulation layers as the lining against your hand, it's truly what makes this thing exceptionally warm. Like that's where I couldn't even ski in this year because I was just like, I'm too hot.
Yeah.
But I think that's exactly what we need for, you know, sitting stationary or operating late season hunting.
Yeah.
Somebody said they worked really well in October on horseback hunting.
Yeah. And, you know, that's kind of the same. We have, you know, we try to keep the palms as durable as we can, whether you're riding a, you know, bike, a quad, or have to deal with reins. You know, it wraps around so you don't get into the, you know, less durable material. So that was definitely the goal with these. But extreme cold weather, only usurps by these, which is like, it's super duper duper cold.
Yeah, so this is truly like the coldest weather solution, where you have the trigger mitt for a little bit of dexterity. You know, you're not going to be operating a trigger, but you can actually, you know, make your way around camp or what have you, or operate binos or a spotter
Yeah.
with your hand in this glove. And then what a lot of people do is drop the index out of there and put it in with the main chamber of the mitt if you need to just kind of recharge your hands and get the blood moving again.
Right.
This uses a 3.5 layer waterproof shell on the outside. This is the same shell fabric as we use on the Seek. Has the hanger loop here for drawing, which is hypercritical with this piece. You have the suede leather nose wipe, full leather palm, reinforced, and then the wrist leash, which I've used quite a bit
For sure.
this last season, where you can be working on stuff, just throw these things off, do what you need to do, and then drop your hand back in.
Those are great for glassing in the cold.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's no change. Well, the change is obviously from the Grizzly mitt prior to this, and now this latest one is the suede leather for the nose wipe. We removed the scuff guard here to just cut a little bit of weight. And then the lining on the inside is obviously fully removable, so you can pull that out with this loop. Wool shearling and insulation for the full liner. A lot of people have been using these around camp. I can say that they're, you know, it's really nice. I wouldn't say it's bomb-proof, but it's a really good application to be able to just have these as like your camp mitt and then throw it back into your shell when you head back out.
I just wear them around town in the summer.
Yeah.
Tank top and liner mitts.
Lobster net.
And then this guy, the Brooks glassing mitt, definitely super excited about this piece. This uses the 37.5 down tech fill, so it's got the 80% down, 20% polyester, 37.5 fill blended in here. So that's a DWR treated 37.5 down fill. So it's hyper packable, and this is, you know, intended as a glassing mitt. So these things come out of your bag when you're sitting and glassing, and it is just like the ultimate insulation. And what we were talking about earlier this morning was throwing, you know, your Talus fingerless on, and then having this underneath. You've got all your warmth, and you're fully capable of like running a spotter or binos with these. And then if you need to do something with some added dexterity, you can drop those off, and you preserve a lot of your warmth by keeping the insulation over where the veins run close to the skin. So you're not dumping heat nearly as fast as you would if you just pulled your bare hand out of this glove.
That's
So
been
those
a
two
huge
things together.
combination that everybody, you know, has been pretty blown away by, because it's funny, you know, these things are super warm, but, you know, you can only do so much with them. But being able to have this inside of this, and then once you take this out, the wind's blowing, whatever, these still keep your hands quite warm. When you have nothing on your hands, they get cold. They get cold 90% quicker with nothing versus just having these. Plus, you know, and then you pull these things off, then it gives you the ability to do you never have to really take these off unless it's something crazy. But yeah, it's that combination has been super popular.
Those are 3.5 ounces for both, right?
Yeah, for a pair.
Okay. And the price point?
Price on these is 70 and 80. So we'll have these in Dry Earth, Fusion, and Cypher.
What was the price on the Alpines?
Oh, on the Alpine Cold Weather, that one is 110, 120.
And then the Grizzlies?
And the Grizzlies is 130, 140.
Gotcha.
So that's solids, and then the second price is prints, just
Correct.
so people
Yeah.
understand
So
it's
the
not
upcharge is
sizes
to
that
go
you're.
up to the prints. Yeah, that's
Gotcha.
right.
Backcountry Trajectory said, why won't you put silicone on the merino gloves?
Ah,
Silicone on the merino.
On these.
on those.
with this one, we looked into that, and honestly, it wasn't really working very well for us with the touchscreen sensitive fingertips. That was really where that came together. The silicone wasn't quite bonding as well as we would have liked it to, what we thought was commercial. With that really stretched knit merino, we were having kind of a tough time getting
With the ribs.
a really good commercially viable silicone application there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Last but not least, the socks.
All right, so we're also working on revamping all of our socks right now, and this is the introduction of basically our earliest season, kind of lightest weight, active hunting, tall crew length sock. So it's got a 7-inch cuff, so it'll basically sit right down to the base of your calf muscle. Really nice, burly PK knit, and that's a really solid compression. So I guess the term we always use is we don't want quitters. If the sock's just coming bunching down like 80s aerobic wear, we've failed. So this is a really sturdy, stand on its own type of cuff that's also really good compression for active hunting. Also provides a little bit of protection around like the top of kind of a, mid-height or full height kind of hiking hunting boot.
Breathes super well.
Still breathes super well. And then we have compression through the ankle, compression through the arch or like instep, and venting through the top of the foot, which is really nice in that hot weather. The one big difference between our socks and I think the industry at large, whether it's running or hiking or anybody else, is we feel it's super critical to have extra cushioning under the foot, even for a really lightweight sock for hunting applications where all of us are hiking off camber and crawling over rocks. A lot of other people are just hiking and running on trails, and that difference between off camber and on trail is significant, and I think that padding is way more important. So we made sure that even though this was a lightweight, warm weather, breathable sock, we maintained like a really lofty cushion underneath the foot, so ball of the foot all the way into the toe box.
Blister prevention is like,
Yeah.
that's a very high priority.
Why would you buy those over the triads?
Well, the triad is going to be, over the calf, so the OTC construction, you've got a lot more coverage there. They do have, other similarities there where we're maintaining the foot pad and the blister protection through the triad, but this piece being under the calf.
Just for people who don't like
Just for people that don't want like that added coverage all the way up the leg. So again, like once you get into kind of those warm weather situations, if it's just your preference to not have them over the calf, or you just run hot, you might not want as much coverage all the way up the bottom of your leg.